Can we all just agree that this is one of the most wild and wacky Septembers in NFL history? I promise I am not this bad at predicting games. Last week I went 9-6 in my predictions. That's if we're not including ties. I don't know, I guess that's not fair on like the predictors part. Cause who the hell is predicting a tie? That's just kind of like an inescapable L right there. So I'll leave it up to you guys to determine if a tie should count as a loss on my record. But for now, I'm just gonna not include it. So with that said, let's get right into it. First up, you got the Los Angeles Rams taking on the San Francisco 49 injuries on Thursday. First of all, I just want to say that the 49ers playing 3 consecutive home games is crazy. And also, I noticed something very interesting in my last video. I said that the 49ers might have made a deal with the devil where every game they win, they lose a player. Well, last week, they got a few players back and lost in the process. They literally are not allowed to win while being healthy, it seems like. But that's not going to excuse the absolutely abysmal offensive performance by them last week against the Jaguars. The 49ers offense looked frustratingly bad. And the Rams offense was also not too great themselves up until the fourth quarter, which is kind of backwards from their performance in the previous week against the Eagles, where they played great for the most part and then finished poorly. If the Rams could just play great consistently throughout the whole 60 minutes, then this should be an easy win, no problem. Actually, I take that back because the 49ers defense is one of the better ones in the league. But on a side note, this is around the time of year where Rams fans show just how fucking weird they are. I've seen multiple posts on Instagram from Rams fans accounts where it just kind of shows the 49ers' lowest moments, just actual lowlight reels of the 49ers, but a lot of those reels include injuries. And yeah, I just see a few of these Rams fans accounts proudly celebrating 49er injuries. This is why I personally don't like Rams fans, because a lot of the ones that I see are just straight up pieces of shit. They're like Eagles fans, but their fan base is so small and pathetic that nobody really sees this shit. Now, I would like the 49ers to win this game, but I'm gonna go for the win-win situation here. I'm gonna pick the Rams, so whatever happens this game, I'll at least be somewhat happy. Next, you got the Vikings taking on the Browns. The Vikings look like shit for most of the game, again, and then they almost managed another fourth quarter comeback against the Steelers, but they didn't. You know, if you played good for the majority of the game and not just one fucking quarter, you won't have to be in these comeback situations, Minnesota. Meanwhile, the Browns went against the Lions, and that game went exactly as expected. But apparently, the Browns will be starting Dylan Gabriel at quarterback now, so that'll be interesting. We're going to see how that goes. I really wish it was Shedeur Sanders instead, but whatever. This just means we're one step closer to seeing Shedeur Sanders play a regular season NFL game. I really don't know what to expect from either of these teams this game, so I'm just going to play it safe and pick the clearly better team, the Vikings. Also, Vikings fans, stop saying that Jefferson has nobody throwing it to him. Carson Wentz has just about as much chemistry with the Vikings as J.J. McCarthy. I really don't see a difference. Next, you get the Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Jets. The Cowboys dropping another 40 points in another overtime thriller. Though they didn't win this time. But they didn't lose either. They tied. In fact, it was the second highest scoring tie in NFL history. Meanwhile, the New York Jets lost to the Miami Dolphins, bringing them down to 0-4. The Jets are officially the worst team in the NFL. And the Cowboys will happily take that title from them if they lose this game. That's right, I got Dallas winning. Next, you have the New York Giants taking on the New Orleans Saints. It's not September anymore. We have witnessed history, and not in a good way either. We have seen possibly the worst September Saints ever. For some reason, this just wasn't the year. Couldn't even come away with a single victory. And unfortunately, the September Saints will be put to rest this year with an 0-4 record on their gravestone. Meanwhile, the Giants somehow managed to beat the Chargers. I don't know if that was the Giants doing their thing or the Chargers doing their thing. See, but here's the thing. My household actually just recently ran out of toilet paper, so I'll be wiping my ass with this game. I don't know, I guess I'll just pick the Giants to win this game. Maybe they could take the momentum they got from beating the Chargers and beat the Saints with it. And if the Saints are doing good in September, I imagine they won't be any better outside of September. So I got the Giants here. Next, you got the Raiders taking on the Colts. I said the Jets were the worst team in the NFL, but the Raiders are the most pathetic. They got outclutched by the Bears. Outclutched by the Bears, I tell you. That's like being more injured than the 49ers. That's like getting more calls than the Chiefs. That's like getting more... Look, you get it. Point is, Raiders are buns and they've now lost 3 in a row. Also, I love how this clip is just a visual slap in the face to Geno Smith. Here you go. Oh, there you go. Touchdown. That's just the first part, though. Wait for it. Right there. There you go, Geno Smith. Don't ever hit the Steph Curry night-night celebration again. While the Raiders sit in a pool of their own piss, the Colts just came off their first loss of the season to the Rams. They kept it close for the most part. I mean, it was a well-fought game. It wasn't an ass-beating or anything like that. So overall, it just looks like the Colts are doing much better than the previous years. And I do think the Colts will make quick work of these guys. Next, you got the Miami Dolphins versus the Carolina Panthers. The Dolphins finally winning a game, but at the expense of... Oh, Tyreek Hill! What the fuck? Shit. Yeah, there you go. They got a win in 49er fashion. Meanwhile, the Panthers got absolutely dominated by the Patriots. Carolina, like, what is this? Like, how do you go from washing the Falcons to getting washed by the Patriots? I don't understand. Maybe it's a home field thing. And in this case, it looks like you'll be playing at home against the Dolphins. And the Dolphins don't have Tyreek Hill now. And they only barely beat the Jets. Yeah, I'll give this one to the Panthers. I feel like they could take this one. But as for the Tyreek Hill injury thing, it sucks because an injury like that at his age is usually career ending. So it's very likely that we may have seen the last of Tyreek Hill. And if he does make a comeback, we will not be seeing him play at the same caliber as we've been for the past decade. Personally, I'm going to have to blame those jerseys. Like Dolphins, it's just, some teams don't look as good in black jerseys, all black jerseys. And that's fine, This one of those things, you just can't force it, Just stick to the all whites. Burn the black jerseys and avoid ever having to deal with something like this ever again. Next, you have the Broncos versus the Eagles. The Eagles managed to overcome their kryptonite, the Buccaneers. So the Eagles have already beaten the Chiefs and Buccaneers. I don't see anybody on their schedule now that could beat them, other than maybe the Cowboys later on. But they've already beaten the 2 teams that they've struggled with the most over the past few years. Basically, I don't see a shot in hell the Broncos win this game. Next, you get the Houston Texans versus the Baltimore Ravens. Now, even though it's not uncommon for the Ravens to start out the season poorly, this is just concerning. They're 1-3. 3 of their 4 games, they allowed 35 plus points. And now they're losing a couple of big-name players who are, I guess, not going to be starting this game. Meanwhile, the Texans bagged their first win of the year, but it was against the Titans, so, whatever. I really can't tell which of these 2 is more deserving of that 1-3 record. What I do know is that the loser of this game is in some serious trouble, because then they'll be 1-4. Both teams were supposed to be playoff contenders. And as we head into the month of October, both have only come away with a single win. Y'all folks better get it figured out. I'm going to pick the Texans to win this one because one of the guys that are likely not going to play for the Ravens is Lamar Jackson. What are the Ravens without Lamar Jackson? I just feel like this is where the Texans will continue to build some momentum to get back on their feet while the Ravens are just kind of, I don't know what's going on over there, but I'm not sensing a light at the end of the tunnel for the Ravens. Next, you got the Titans versus the Cardinals. So for the Titans, I'm not even going to talk about them. I'll let Cam Ward do that.
I mean, if we keeping a buck right now, we ass. So we 0-4. We have, this point, we got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our fucking games, and we've yet to do anything. So we have to lock in.
Any player, let alone a rookie, talking honest shit about their own team gets massive respect from me. Meanwhile, the Cardinals lose another game to a division rival, this one being the Seahawks. Even though I feel like a few plays kept getting handed to them by questionable referee calls. They managed to climb back into the game, but ultimately still lost. There's really not much to say here. I'm just going to pick the Cardinals. They're clearly the better team. Next, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks, as I just said, beat the Cardinals, putting up a great performance, especially on the defense. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers lost a nail-biter to the Philadelphia Eagles, so basically they lost to the best team in the NFL right now. I think the Buccaneers themselves are one of the better teams right now. So, Seahawks, this is your chance to prove that you are worthy of sitting at the big kids' table. By beating the Buccaneers, who are kind of on a roll right now, I don't think that's going to happen. I have the Buccaneers winning this game, but for the Seahawks' sake, this is a great game for y'all to win. This is like your first big test. So we'll see how it goes. Next, you got the Lions taking on the Bagels. Holy shit. So, I got the Lions winning. There's nothing to talk about there. But Cincinnati, it's impressive how much one man can make such a drastic difference on your team. Are you guys really this incompetent and poor without Joe Burrow? This is sad. This is really sad. Like, look what y'all are doing to Ocho.
No, don't cry. No, don't cry. You ain't crying yet, Chad. Don't let it fool you. You should be crying.
We gonna be all right.
No, y'all ain't.
And the O-line, oh my god. There's just no saving you guys, is there? There's just no saving you guys. Lions should honestly win this game by 40. Next, you got Washington taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Both teams lost unexpectedly to teams that were seemingly lesser than them. But Washington, I won't pay too much mind to because they didn't have Terry McLaurin or Austin Eckler. But for the Chargers, how do you lose to the Giants? What happened? You guys beat the Raiders. You beat the Broncos. You beat the Chiefs. But lose to the Giants. This is peak Charger behavior. Peak Charger behavior. Looking so good and you lose to the easiest team on your schedule so far. This game literally could go either way, but I'm going to go with the Chargers to win, though I feel very uneasy about that decision. Both the Commanders, I feel like the absence of Terry McLaurin and Austin Eckler, those are some big gears that cannot be replaced, and they just do not function the same without them. So I'm going to give the Chargers this one. But again, I don't feel great about this. For Sunday Night Football, you got the New England Patriots versus the Buffalo Bills. The Bills stomped on the Saints, whatever. That was expected at that point. They didn't look any different from their usual dominant selves. Whereas the Patriots dropped a 40-piece on the Panthers. So both these teams beat bad teams, essentially. I think that very clearly the Bills are the better team, and I do think they're going to win. But not a blowout or anything. I feel like it'll be a close game. The Patriots at the very least showed that they're a threat to the Bills, and that they can't just push them around anymore. So I have it being a close game, but I do think the Bills will take the W here. And lastly, on Monday, you have the Chiefs going to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. The Chiefs stomped on what was supposed to be a good team in the Baltimore Ravens, while the Jaguars beat a completely disheveled and sloppy, disorganized 49ers team. I do think the Jaguars earned their win, but at the same time, I feel like the win was also kind of handed to them by their opponent's incompetence. And I suppose you could say the same thing with the Chiefs. Both teams look solid, but I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win, which will make me sick because we were all just laughing at them for starting 0-2 and struggling to look good at all. And now with a win here, they can already go back to having a winning record. Like, they're not impressive. They're literally not impressive. I take it back, actually. The Chiefs do not look like a solid team right now. But perhaps my opinion will change after Monday, this game right here. I got the Chiefs winning with at least one questionable penalty in their favor. Will my predictions record this week look like shit again? Probably. It probably will.